Today is a special moment because I'm sitting down with someone who represents this exact heart of what this space is about. We grew up on the same block in Detroit. It was a community where the odds were stacked against us, and you had to really learn how to read a room to navigate your daily life. So fast forward to today, she went all the way up and she earned her doctorate in leadership and change. She's mastered the science of how people learn and communicate and lead. And I have spent my life in Hollywood in the world of acting, unlocking human behavior on camera. So today, I just thought it was kind of cool that we come together and talk about maybe how to bridge the gap between the classroom and the acting lab, to talk about instincts and survival and the absolute courage that it takes to claim your space. So I want to welcome everybody to the lab, Dr. Wendy Perkinson. Hey, Wendy.
Thank you. Hey,
Yes.
Lansky.
Yep. Now, before we get out of the gate, I want to make this clear that this is not a formal interview. This is an open conversation. We're just both stepping into the lab and we're going to try to, well, no, we're not going to try. We're going to do it. We're going to dissect human behavior from our own angles. And we're going to, ask each other some questions. We're going to look at our shared roots. We're going to examine how maybe traditional education and acting instincts can really kind of benefit the everyday people, and, benefit each other. Actually. So that's what we're going to do. And hey, Wynn.
Hey, Lansky. How are you?
I am good. I'm good.
That's
It's been
good.
a very, very, very fruitful day. And I was just excited to have this conversation. This is my first conversation. I think it's my first conversation, period, on Substack.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad to be the first conversation that you're having, the person that you're
yeah.
having the conversation with.
And the helicopters are like applauding us. I don't know if you guys heard it. I'm in Hollywood and, there's a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, I just want to talk about I met Wendy in high school in Spanish class, and I was sitting in front of her, and I needed a pencil, and she loaned me the pencil, and always having my back, and I. I don't know how we talked about it, but I told her that I was interested in acting, and she happened to be in the drama squad, and she asked me, did I audition? I said no. And she was like, well, we're going to do something about that. So she took me down to the drama teacher, and it literally changed my life. I can tell this story until I'm blue in the face. I always tell the story. And so it has it gave me everything that I needed. Like acting it was just the gateway to so much catharsis in my life. Is that the word? Catharsis? Catharsis? Yeah, it just,
Sure.
yeah, sure. It just allowed me to express my inner trauma, my inner pain, because growing up in the city of Detroit, I did not have an opportunity to do that because it just was not okay. And
Mm.
so, yeah, it really was a blessing. And so I just want to ask you, to me, that was even leadership when you did that for me. Did you always feel like you had like a leadership component inside of you?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having the conversation with me. I really appreciate it. We have known each other for 40 something years. So it's been a very long time that we've known each other. When we met in Spanish class, I didn't know that we lived on the same block at that same time. And yes, I did always have that leadership component in me because, there's something called sibling placement. And I was the eldest of five siblings. My mother had me when she was about 17. So I kind of grew up with my mother. She's passed on now to heaven. But And then when I was about 5 or 6, another sibling came, my sibling Shar, and then the rest of them followed. And so, because my mother was a single parent at the time when she had me, I kind of just flowed with helping to do my part as a big sister to raise my siblings, I guess. And I think that kind of led into my community friendships. Friendships I had on the block and the friendships that I had in school. So I had no problem with helping people or leading them or grabbing them by the hand and taking them somewhere if they needed some help.
Mm, mm. Now, that's kind of interesting. I did not even think about just the spiritual component that we ended up living on the same street as well. I mean, that was like that's so
Yeah,
crazy. So anyway, that kind of threw me off or whatever. I was like, wow, that was deep. That was deep. Okay, so you just kind of always had it. Did you feel special when you were growing up?
I did feel special when I was growing up. I did feel very special when I was growing up. I can't remember not necessarily not feeling special. And again, I don't know if it was because I was the firstborn and my mother was so young. And because my mother was so young, she had siblings herself. My uncles, yeah, all brothers. And her mom, which was my grandmother, was there. So, I was the baby in the family, and everybody pretty much catered to me in a way. I wouldn't say that I was spoiled, but I knew that I was loved. And although my father wasn't really around because he was young as well, and he and my mother, they had challenges and everything. And I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but when I did spend time with him, one thing that he always said over and over and over and over and over again, even if he was drunk, because he had a drinking problem, he would
Mm.
just say over and over again, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. I mean, I would get on the phone with him. My mom would call me in from playing outside. Your daddy's on the phone. She really didn't get along with him that much, but she would let me talk to him. I would talk to him. And even if he was under the influence of alcohol, he would just, I love you, I love you. And he could say that over and over again for about a half an hour. And so even though the actions wasn't there, just him telling me that, I don't know. I just knew that I was loved. And when you know that you are loved, you operate differently in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's why I asked you that question because there's a lot of people who would feel like, well, somebody who's has become a doctor in leadership and change. Well, I'm gonna find out what that means later, but it's like, wow, that person must really feel themselves. They must have so much confidence, and so that's kind of why I asked you that, and kind of to rally against that point is I don't feel like I grew up feeling special. I really didn't. I felt like um, I just felt like I had to work hard. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I just felt like I just need to work hard to do the best I can, to study, to rehearse, to do whatever I can to survive. But I didn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily feel like I was special. So I guess that makes the case that even if you don't feel necessarily special, if you put some discipline and some focus and some grit and some willpower, you can still achieve great things. Any thoughts
Yeah,
on
you could
that?
always achieve. Yeah, we can always achieve great things. But what did you feel? Did you feel different? I mean, special is subjective. Like when you say, "Did you feel special?" You might have your interpretation of what that means, and I have my interpretation of what I mean. And special for me means I felt loved, even though I was in a harsh environment because we both grew up on the same street. Right, our street was special in different ways. Drug infested, crime. It was hard to walk down the street without feeling nervous or scared, seeing murders on the block. I mean, it was very, very terrible in some ways. But I still sensed that in my household. So that for me means love. So what did you feel? Did you feel different? Did you feel seen? What did you feel?
Well, to me, when I asked you what special meant, special means I feel like I'm loved, I am seen, I am special, I'm little magic. You know what I'm saying? That's what that means to me. Like, I'm special. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And I didn't feel that there was just so much going on that, like you, like my mother had me at such a young age, and it was just so much going on to they didn't have time to make me feel special because they were dealing with their challenges. I think maybe my older siblings, they were twins or older than me. I feel like they got doted on because they were twins and they were the first, So I feel like they felt special. And this is not me being a victim. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel special. I just felt like I have to do everything that I can to get to special. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be the overachiever. I want to get the A, so I can be like, look at my A, so I can be like, yay, special. So everything I was doing was to get the special. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
that worked for a long time until I got to, I think, Hollywood. I think because there was a lot of people who felt special, genuinely special, and then some of the people who was working for special, I feel like that catches up with you after a while. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Because you become
Yeah.
a people pleaser and trying to get approval and all that kind of stuff, and it can wear down on you and affect your
Mm-hmm.
health, mental health, and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. I think special is I'm glad you gave your interpretation because, special is a big thing because, if you have a special announcement, you know what I mean? That's like, stop, pause. There's a special announcement. Or something as special is catered to. Sometimes, I mean, we might not give enough credence to our sibling placement. And although I haven't done a lot of research on it, as far as publication, I have done my own personal research on it. And being the middle child like you was, especially being a middle child, having twins as your oldest, your older siblings, and then having a younger sibling, and then being that middle child, there are different characteristics that have been proven of how middle children navigate the world versus how a firstborn person, the only baby in the family for a while, how that person would navigate the world. I mean, I think we
mhm,
all catch up with one another in a sense when
mhm,
we become adults, but it is something to say about how you were placed amongst your siblings and how that plays out in your life afterwards. And so I'm sure you might see that in Hollywood. There may be people in Hollywood who just know they're special in that kind of confidence way. Or people's like, listen, I know I'm going to do this and I'm going to keep going. And people who might be shy or draw back, for different reasons. Part of it could be their sibling placement. I mean, that's just one slice out of the pie, out of a lot of things. But that's just interesting. I'm the oldest and you're the middle child.
oh, that is interesting. Maybe that's why I needed that special energy from you to, to come on, Wayne, come on.
Yeah,
I
that
needed
was that
that.
older child in me.
Yeah, I needed that older child. That's so interesting. I had
Mm-hmm.
never thought about that because also not even on top of me being a middle child. I mean, my mother was 14 when she had my twins and my older twin brothers, and then she was like
Mm-hmm.
15 and a half when she had me. And then my grandmother was like, I tried to beat her out of you. I tried to beat you out of her. I
Mm-hmm.
tried. And so just hearing that message and, I shouldn't have heard that message, by the way. That should not have been something I should have never heard, especially as a
Mm-hmm.
child. So hearing that message was like, you're not wanted. You're not special. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm trying to say? So, like, I don't want to get into the victimhood of it because I'm over that. But it's just like, as I process that, it's like, okay, have a little compassion on yourself. Come on, you know what I'm saying? You did the best you can, with those circumstances. And again, for anybody who's watching this, like it doesn't matter if you felt special or not. You still can achieve great things regardless with the help of, a strong
Mm-hmm.
practice and and sheer
Yeah.
determination and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot. We're all given a map, sort of, when we're born, no matter what the situation we're born into, when we're born, who we're born to, and all of that. And the map is okay, based on this, how do you navigate life? And on that map, we all have our individual challenges. We all have our individual traumas. We all have our individual things that we have to navigate through, everybody. And so it's good that I think this could be helpful to somebody to realize that, oh, maybe I was the middle child and I had to navigate life this way. It's good. Maybe I was the oldest child and I had to navigate life this way. I have some similarities in that, but we all have to navigate. And finding our way through with God, because I'm a believer, is possible, even with the
What
hardest challenges.
Yeah, what do you think were the disadvantages of being the oldest? What did you call it? The leader child? What did you call that? Was there
The
any
oldest,
disadvantage?
okay.
Yeah,
I think you just termed something, the leader child.
the leader child.
Um,
Yeah.
mm, I never thought about the disadvantages of that. Not
Mm,
even to this day. I've never
okay.
seen it as a disadvantage, not even a little bit.
Okay.
Um, I think the only thing is that when my mother passed away, there was this, I wondered, since I was the oldest, do I kind of step into her shoes?
Mm,
It seemed like my siblings needed me, or maybe they wanted me to. And I decided that I couldn't. I can only be me, the oldest sister, and the role that I played in life, because I couldn't step into her shoes and be her. Plus, that would give people a false sense of security because I'll never be their mother. I can only be mother to my children. That's the anointing I have for them. And so I think that was a little bit, that took a little bit of a ways to navigate for me and for them, but we all found our way.
hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever asked anybody that question. That was just like I'm sitting up here talking about the trials of the middle child. I'm like, well, what is the trials of the leader child? Like, okay, so I hear you.
Yeah.
And I
But what
think
are
that
the
is,
advantages of the middle child?
I feel like what I've noticed, because I've talked to other middle children, and it's we are the ones who go out and we're adventurous. We're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who go out and because we're not beholden to anything. We feel like, well, that not necessarily like they don't love me anyway. It's just like there's a freedom to go out and be independent. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a bit. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with you. I have a sister who is the middle. I would consider her the middle. My sister Robin. I admire her in that way. You know what I mean? She doesn't have the responsibility of being the oldest. I think because there's a responsibility that comes with that. And then when you're the youngest, I mean, you're kind of special because you're the youngest. But my sister Robin, who is the middle, when I tell you she is free, okay, she's free. She
Mm,
doesn't feel like she has to follow anybody's rules,
mm,
okay, or anybody's conditions. And it's something that I admire about that because mm-mm, I was a rule follower, okay. Uh,
mm,
I was a rule
mm,
follower for
mm,
myself and for the well being of my siblings.
mm. Yeah, and and I think I have middle, but I also have leader too, because for a long time my older brothers used to have to remind me, like, I'm older than you. And I'll be
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, and because at first I wasn't seeing them that way. Because as the middle child, I'm like, I ain't answering to nobody's rules. I'm doing my thing. Whatever I said I wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing. I'm going to college. You can go to college. I'm moving to California. You can move to California. So it was like I was
Mm-hmm.
just so free to out. I was never looking at anything outside of God being
Mm-hmm.
over me. And then I think my grandmother and I had such a close relationship that I didn't feel like she was over me. I felt like she was almost like one of my companions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, that is
What
pretty
about
special,
you?
actually.
Yeah. What about you? Did you feel did your mother have like did you have a hierarchy type of situation with your mother, or did she just? I'm sure when you were younger, but I'm saying once you became of age, did she kind of just allow you to just flow, or did she have a heavy hand
Yeah.
in?
My mother, she was stern. She was firm, but she wasn't strict, at least on me. Mm-hmm. My mother and I, we had a mutual respect. Maybe because she was so young, she would see things in me that she would appreciate and she wished that she could do. But she allowed me to have certain freedoms, probably the freedoms that she didn't have. You know, she got me involved in dance really early, like when I was 5 years old, and I danced practically all my life. And so that performing arts really developed me, you know, in different ways that I had other types of freedoms. Outside of feeling special, you know, I could just go on a stage and just dance and, you know, be in competitions and all the things that came with that to build your confidence. And so my mother admired that about me, you know, so we had a very respectable relationship with each other.
Yeah, you were a good girl. You were a good girl, if I say so myself. Growing up with you, I think I was a good boy. I mean, we were human. Don't get me wrong,
That's right.
but basically
Mm-hmm.
we did the right thing for the most part. Um, So it's kind of interesting, like when you just brought it up that you was a dancer, and of course you were an actor. That's what you got me into it, and then you also became an educator. So you are the perfect person to speak on the um, connection. Do you see a connection between the arts and academia? And if so, what do you think? How do you think they connect?
Well, of course, like you and I both, when we went to college, because we went off to college together on a theater scholarship. And on the theater scholarship, it was connected to communication. So we were in the major of communication and theater arts. So it connected that way, right? We studied interpersonal communication and relational communication and conflict and speaking and all these types of things. But we also studied theater and, you know, acting and managing the theater and all those types of things as well. And so we had that combination of performance and study right in our major. And I just continued on with that, but I continued on with the communications part. So when you left school and went off to Hollywood, you and Nicole, and you're just like, you know what, we're done. Okay, we did school. All right, we've done it long enough. It's time to get to getting and to go. And when you all decided to go, you're like, come on. And I was like, I want to stay in school. Mainly, I wanted to stay with my mom and I wanted to stay near my siblings. Okay. So, probably some of that older child was coming out. But I did have a sense that I wanted to finish the communications part, the actually academic part. So, you all went and I stayed and we grew from there. So, again, to answer your question, yes. In our major, there was an immediate connection with study and acting. But of course, in theater and academia, you both have to study and you both have to research. So in higher
Mm.
education, there's a lot of research. In acting, there's a lot of research.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That's so perfect. Yes. I think people just think that acting is picking up scripts and memorizing lines, but that's not it. That's none of it. It's really like studying people, reading books, using your imagination. You know, it's so complex, and I think that's one reason why it excites me because
Mm-hmm.
I was a very A student, intellectual, and I feel like this industry it keeps me learning, it keeps me growing because
Mm-hmm.
the business is always changing. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
changing, and so it's like you always have to be an avid learner, and
Mm-hmm.
I do see that as the a great connector between the arts. I mean, acting and academia. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think like even
So,
people
can
who
I ask?
go, no, go.
Oh, I'm sorry, we had a little delay. I didn't want
Hmm.
to interrupt your thought, even though I did.
That's okay,
You
go.
want to finish it? Okay.
No, I had finished because
So,
I was
can you
about to
tell
ask
us?
you something.
Can you tell us a little bit something about how you approach research in your character development before you, when you've taken on a role? How do you approach the research of it?
Well, when I did the Big George Foreman, I had to play a historic figure. I had to play Dick Sadler. So, I mean, that's the time that I really, well, there was a couple of other times, but that time comes to mind where I really had to, you know, comb books, go on the internet, find pictures, read his story, figure out how he talked, and, try to mold my voice to his voice and just his mannerisms. I called on you to teach me how to tap. Even though I didn't even do that in the movie or whatever. But
Remember that.
like I said, I just remember that just like tap, 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 walking
Mm-hmm.
down, learn how to tap. Like I get excited when I have to like go deep because I'm a deep
Mm-hmm.
person. And so I would say the same way, I guess, if you're researching a paper, doing a research paper, I had to, if playing historic figures, you have to go through that same process. You have to just find source material. Good thing about it, you don't have to write a paper because that's one reason why I felt like I never graduated college because I was like, I write a script, I write a book, but it's something about writing a paper that is just maybe because it's somebody judging you or something, and you're gonna get an A, and they're gonna be like, well, no, the verb and the adverb and then this and the that. I don't know what it is, but something about writing papers, I just have a phobia about. Um, so I know I said a lot, but yeah. And then one time I had to play like a drug addict on not the crack addict that I played, but I had to audition for the Corner. It was for the Corner, the TV show The Corner. And a friend of mine, Stacey J, and we went down to the Skid Row and just laid out on the streets and just hung out with the skid. You know what I'm saying? We were just really immersing ourselves into that world or whatever. So that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and with that's called a higher education, that's called a primary researcher, right? So a lot of times, like if you do a research paper, which you don't necessarily like to do, I understand. You want to do scripts, and that's the creative part of you. But like a research paper, like if you're just doing finding other references to support your arguments or to develop your arguments, you're finding other references. That's pretty much called secondary research because you're finding research that other people completed to support whatever argument that you're presenting. But when you do primary research, you go out and you become the researcher, such as what you did. When you go down the Skid Row and you immerse yourself into the culture of whatever Skid Row is, and you begin to study human behavior, or to talk to people, or to really set yourself of the authenticity of what that really is, what people are really feeling, what they're really going through, what they're really navigating with, because you didn't just read it, you went there, saw, and experienced for yourself. That's called a primary researcher. So in academia, a primary researcher, you get a doctorate because that's what a doctor does. A doctor becomes an expert. You become the primary researcher. And so you did that same thing when you went to Skid Row, when you did your other research, when you immersed yourself and became primary. That's all research. And what is it researching? It's trying to research the authenticity of whatever it is that you are talking about. Always being a seeker of truth. Like, what is the truth of this data? What is the truth of this information? What is the truth in this script? I think the best production houses like Netflix or Sony or whoever, they have PhDs, people who know how to analyze data, go out and research data. So then when they create shows, even though it could be fictional, it's still based on some real truth of human behavior.
Wow. 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 So that's kind of interesting. So you set in on my free 1 hour Eventbrite acting class. And how do you think people who aren't actors could benefit from taking an acting class?
You know, what I loved about that particular class that you led is you did an exercise when they kind of immersed themselves into really understanding the character that they were playing. And so at first you went into the exercise where they had to do like a code read. And if you don't know what a code read is, if you participate in Dwayne's coaching class, you'll find out what that is. But you went through like a code read. And then after that, you took them through a series of questions to help them really become aware of and true to the possibility of the character that they were playing. And so once you took them through that, when they did the reading again, it wasn't cold. They were warmed up because they had more awareness of the possibilities of where those characters were coming from, who they were. And it just changed the whole thing. In life, when you really when you really understand who you are, or you're able to do a character analyzation of yourself, you being the main character in your story, becoming very self-aware, understanding the different roles that you play with people. And I'm not talking about fake roles that you create. We fall into these roles that we have, whether we're at home, we're at work, we're at play. When you understand the impact that you have on the roles with other people and the impact others have with you, just being aware in that exercise is helpful for even real life, right? But you can show them better than I could tell you. So if they join your
Oh,
class,
no,
you could definitely show them better than I could tell you.
no, you told it. You said it. You said it because actually I have a few, two in particular, non-actors that I see signed up, one being my brother. And I was just really ruminating on that. Somebody else, like an old high school buddy, I don't know if she's going to show up or even he's going to show up, but I was like, I wonder, I really want to talk about that. Like, what can non actors gain from acting? And I think you just broke it down. And that's exactly you took the words out of my mouth because that's what I feel like. I feel like acting does that in general. Because when you study these people, as we talked about earlier, studying these particular characters, you start to understand yourself more. You know, when you watch movies or plays or even look at great art, you learn a little bit more about yourself. So I feel like that's a great benefit of acting that a lot of lay people don't even understand. It's almost like we're getting free therapy if we want to apply it, because there's some cray
Yeah,
actors out there, that don't get me
yeah,
wrong, but
everywhere, right? But
right.
that that self-awareness, like you're talking about, when you go through when you're going through the exercise and you're saying things, I'm not gonna give it all away because the class is just like that. But when you're helping people become more self-aware, we all operate in roles and narratives in our lives. The fact that I'm a Black woman, there's a political narrative with that. The fact that you're a Black man, there's a political, cultural narrative just with that. We can decide to operate in it or operate outside of it as much as we can. Culturally, there's a narrative that comes with our culture. There's a narrative that comes with the fact that we're Gen X's, right? Or a narrative that comes there. So the different roles that we have in life, when you really begin to study yourself out
Mm.
and realize, oh, I'm acting like this because I am the oldest of five. I was born in this culture.
Mm.
I, had this experience. I've been married 32 years.
Wow.
I have two sons. You know, I went to Detroit public schools. I grew up on, what I mean? All this creates what it creates. And then you're just like, oh, that can give me some information of why I'm responding how I'm responding, good,
Mm-hmm.
bad, or indifferent. And so I think that's what the acting class does, because that's all you're doing with that's a lot that you're doing with the characters, of understanding them before you act them out. What is it? You're acting out the best that you know of the truth from this character. If you're an ethical actor, if you're a thespian, right? Opposed to just reading some lines off the paper and just pretending. Like you've
Mm-hmm.
taught me even in that one class, like I'm not these words are words that were written, but when I get into it, when you get into it, like you're not pretending anymore. You are that person, which leads me to my next question. How do you get in and out of character? Because when you get into character, you open up yourself to becoming whoever it is that you're playing. What do you do to come out of it?
I had a conversation on set with actually Forrest Whitaker, and he was just saying that was one of the most challenging things for him. It's like when you let go of the character, it's like, how do you let it go? Because it lives with you. And actually, I don't feel like I've experienced that, but I think I have. Because what I do know is when I get through playing characters or roles or step in the shoes of another life, that's a better way of saying it. Um, when it's over, I go through a depression, a
Mm,
sadness, a grief, and it's kind of hard to like get back into my life. And I never thought about it until now. I thought it was because it's like, oh, it's almost like when you go on vacation, you have a great time in New York or wherever, and you come back, and
mm,
it's like for me, I don't know, there's a process of getting back into your daily life that is like, so I think what happens now that I think about it is like it's an adrenaline rush. When you play the characters, it's not
mm,
you. So it's like you're in this whole nother dimension, thinking differently, doing differently, feeling differently. Then you come back to you. It's like I'm sure a drug addict, when they become sober, when
mm,
I became sober, it was just like,
mm.
where's the fun? It's me. It's my feelings. It's my emotions. And I have to, so So I think that's what the process is like. Now that I talk about it, it's like for lay people, it's like going on a vacation, having a time of your life, and you're not thinking about your job. You ain't thinking about whatever you're thinking about, and then when it's over, you got to come back and deal with your everyday life, and it's a process for some to get back into that grind
Mm,
life, and it could sometimes you go through grief. You go through grief. Like, I miss that vacation. I'll never be able to go there
mm.
again with those elements. It was me and Tanya and Sean and blah 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 blah. Oh, we'll never have that experience. So it's like it's you go through a grief. That's what it's like.
That's very powerful and very well said. I never understood it that way. You know what I thought you was going to say? I thought you were going to say, like, oh, if you play a character that's really depressed or sad, then it's hard to shake that. But no, what you said is that just getting into character and then coming out of it is you go through different emotions with that. To me, that just goes to prove that you just love it so much, right? You just love experimenting with different characters, different types of people, and becoming them and experiencing life, stepping in their shoes, as you said it. And what's so interesting about that, when you think about, we'll call it real life, outside of acting, like real, the life, you say you step back into yourself. There are
Hmm.
times when you really want to feel like you want to get out of the narrative of your own life. Like you want to get out of the narrative of your own life because your own life is a character that you just don't want to play anymore. You know what I mean? Good, bad, or indifferent. It could be a really bad situation for you and you really need to change it and you do all the steps to change it and you do. or it could be a really positive that people think is a positive situation. You know what I mean? But you really want to change it. You know what I mean? You want to change that part about yourself, and it's so hard to think of yourself as something else or to be something else, or to even know the process of the steps to become, you know, another version of yourself. And so all of that is, I mean, acting is just such a low level word for the experiences that you're talking about. Um, what would be a different word for that?
Well, some people call it
Engaging
experiencing. Some people call it experiencing. Like they
experience.
don't even call it acting. It's like, no,
Mm,
I'm experiencing. And I like what you just said about it. Like sometimes you think if you're playing a dark, depressed character, and when you come out, you might still have the dark depression. But no, you can play a joyful, happy character, but you still got to come back to reality. You know what I'm saying? And coming back to reality is sobering. Because I think, well, don't think about it. Because even when you're playing a character, no matter if they're dark or whatever, you still know that it's safe. You know what I'm trying to say? You still know that they can help. They can say cut at any time. So you could be crazy. Lady seen the blues, all the crack. It's still fun, and it's still. But when you come back to life, you come back to the vulnerability of life. You know what I'm saying? Where anything can happen, and so it's like you just come, it's back to life, back to reality. It's just anytime you
that's
got to
right.
come to reality. Acting is like a virtual game, like you play this virtual game and then you come back to life. And I think that's the high. That's why a lot of actors, including myself, we get sad when we're not working because it's almost like, I want my head. I want my head. I want my act between action and cut. That's why I get high. That's why
Mm-hmm.
and you when you're not getting that, it's like I gotta deal with life. I gotta deal with life all this time. Oh my God, no, let me get an audition. Even the audition feels good. It's like I gotta get back to life. So I really think that is why a lot of actors that's one reason we don't give up. Because we want that
Mm-hmm.
hit.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
interesting.
Yeah.
You know what's so interesting and so beautiful how you said that, because I think sometimes people from the outside can think, oh, you know what I mean? This is a person who's reaching for fame. What it is they just want fame. You know, fame costs. And right here is where you start paying in sweat. Fame, fame, fame. And it's just like, no, but when you're a real one, it's the experience that you're after. That's what you're after. That's the next job you're after, you know, for that next experience for some. For me, I can say that when it comes to teaching, when I'm in the classroom, even sometimes if I walk into a classroom, there's a window and I see the reflection from our window and I see myself teaching. And although I've taught in higher education for 30 years, I still get a little, I still take a breath like, oh my God, I get to do this, right? There's such a high that I get from teaching. And when class is over and after I answer all the questions and then when I'm driving home, you know, it's just like, I could say the same thing about my husband, his business, or, you know, he's been in sports. You know what I mean? We have all those things in our careers that we were created to do that excites us. And if performance and acting excites you, don't let anybody steal that away from you. Because that, for some reason, in performing arts, you know, people always say you need a plan B. You need to do something different. Like, don't go for what it is that you want to do. I understand sustainability. I understand you have to keep a roof over your head. I understand you have to eat. Okay. But that's survival level. Thriving is when you're able to do exactly what you're created to do. And so if there's any actors out there who, you know, I mean, you don't know the first step, you don't know what to do, you know, coaching or acting class might just be the space that you need to be in so you can be around people who think like you, who feel like you, who experience life like you.
Yeah, but that was something that was so powerful. You never, well, you may have expressed that to me, but that was so powerful. how you get that same high from doing what you're doing. And do you think that is when you're aligned, when anybody is aligned with their heart's desire or their true passion? I wonder, is that the answer? Like, if you're not feeling like, I love being a lawyer, I love doing this doctor, I love doing this teacher. When you come back, oh, I say, it's like, I feel like that's what everybody should be shooting for. Like, go for that thing that just gives you that high. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because if it's not giving you that high and you still have to deal with life, and you're going somewhere, you're doing something, and you're not getting that high of alignment, of purpose, it's like, I think you should rethink it, because I mean, life is life and for everyone, and we all should be getting our high, our creative, our career high in some regard or another.
I like that. I agree with that. That fulfillment, right? It's
Yeah.
a fulfillment. When you're hungry, you want to sit down and you want to eat. But you know what I mean? There's some things that you can eat and it never fills you. You're just like, why am I still hungry?
Mm.
You know, you can eat a lot of junk food or eat a lot of, it's like, I'm still hungry or I'm still thirsty. You know, I'm so thirsty. But until you take a drink of your purpose or you eat from the purpose of what God created you to do and to be, it's a real fulfillment that comes with that. Right? It could come in different spaces. It doesn't only have to come in your career. Just look around with what you're experiencing, even in your daily life. I'm going to tell you, there's some mundane things that I experience that gives me such fulfillment that people are like, how is that fulfilling? You know, I'm going to tell you, when the washer is going, the dishwasher is going, I smell fabulosity in the house. Everything is all straightened. I've cooked dinner. You know what I mean? Everything is cool. The window is open. There's a little cool breeze. You know, everything is fine. And then my husband and my kids walk in and they're like, ooh, something smells good. You know what I mean? It feels good. It smells good. And I sit there and they're eating or they're enjoying, they're laughing. That gives me fulfillment. That's one slice of my life, though. I can't live in that one slice because when I'm taking a bubble bath, that's another slice. When I'm in there teaching, or when I'm doing research, or I'm dealing with students, I get the same fulfillment, right? So we want to have a full pie of what fulfills you, right? And you don't want to have a big chunk out of it. If performing arts is your place, then get in a place where you can perform. It could be local theater. It could be an acting coaching class like what you're doing. You know what I mean? It could be a community situation, but do something that's going to fulfill that piece in you. You'll be happier.
Hmm. And so we talk about instincts, like the whole thing is, this conversation was about deconstructing human behavior. I think we deconstructed a lot of human behavior, and we also are now talking about instincts. Like, it was my instincts, my God-given instincts, that has led me to this place where I can get high, career high. And the same thing with you. You know what I'm saying? You went from dance to acting to education to, being a great mother, great wife, all of those powerful, instinctual things that have shown up in your life that has given you so much fulfillment. And I think that's where it's at. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm calling my class the On Camera Acting Instinct Lab, because once you start to follow your instincts in every area of your life, not just with these scripts, but in your friendships, in your career choices, when you follow those instincts, and you will be right where you're supposed to be. And that is the place of joy and happiness. And nobody can take that away. So
Well, one thing I
that's,
can say about you is you are the king of alignment. To me, you're just always looking for alignment. If it doesn't fit, you must have quit.
mm,
Same as Johnny Cochran, you know. And could you speak to us a little bit about that? Because I know that there's a reason when you said that your class was called, you added instinct on there. I'm like, perfect. That's perfect for him. Because if something's not aligning, oh, you're not being a part of it. Can you talk to people about
Well,
that?
it's funny.
Alignment, instinct.
I never looked at myself that way until you just said it. Because you're such a
Really?
reflector of my life. You've always have. You are, um, yeah. You just always reflected very beautifully. But as you think, as you mentioned it, I guess I am. When things aren't working and they're feeling off to me, normally I take a pause, even if it's me, because sometimes it's me. Sometimes I'm not working. So I need to take a pause from you because you being you is affecting me. And so I need to set it down. And then once I set it down and I go work on me, then I open myself back up to it. If you're willing to come back, it's cool. If not, there's been some people that, I'm good, I'm cool. And that's cool too. You take your break and I'm on a forever break. And I'm like, that's cool too. But I guess you're right. I do follow my instincts with that for the most part. And it was, I feel like I do it from a more healthy place now because I think back in the day it was from a toxic, seeing people break up to make up, and you know what I'm saying, baby boy Jody, and come on, yeah. And but now I do it from a like, I'm not really feeling this right now. I need to go separate myself from it, heal myself from it, and get to a clearer, healthier perspective. And the perspective is like where I see my part in it, where I can take accountability and where I needed to do some healing. Because once that happens, I can look at the other person and say, oh, you were just being yourself. You can't be anybody but yourself. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgive them because they're just being themselves, and you just took it personal, and you can't take things personal. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think that is a part of the artist in me, the creative person inside of me, because sometimes my creativity can create things that aren't true. You know what I'm saying? I can create a whole movie, a whole drama, and it was like it wasn't that. It was something else, and it really takes God to sit me down and to deal with me, to heal me, for me to see that. So, but it's still following my instincts, even if my instincts
Mm-hmm.
were like, cuss them out and cut them off. It's like that was my instincts,
Mm-hmm.
and then and then God is like, "Yeah, you feel good." Mm-hmm. So you know what they do. So anyway,
Well, not just with people too, with just even in life, with situations. I remember one time, and you may not remember this. Okay, so on our street, as we talked about it, it was, it was challenging. It literally was like when I moved on this particular street, it was one way, and then the 80s hit, it was like New Jack City. It was just like a way, it was like New Jack City. And it just took a turn. Like somebody just pulled back the curtain. It was like, what's going on? So it's very dangerous at times. Not just from the people. We just have wild dogs just running the street. Um, you go past drug houses, shootings. I remember walking, it was a cab on our street one day, and walked past, and later on found out it was a dead person in the cab.
mm,
So, it something could always jump off on our street. You look at it, it might be so 6 o'clock in the morning might seem real pleasant. You know what I mean? And then just anything can jump off. And so one day I was looking out the window, and here you come walking down the street. I never forget, you had on a silk shirt. It was like a turquoise silk shirt. You had on some trousers, and you had on your little belt and everything. And you just walked down the street by yourself. And we usually didn't walk down the street by ourselves. And I ran out. I was like, Dwayne, where you going? Where you going? He was like, girl, I'm about to go to Fairlight and audition for some kind of singing. I know you don't remember. I was like,
Mm.
you about to go to Fairlane to audition? Yeah, yep. I'm gonna get on the bus. And our buses was kind of dangerous back then too. Yep, I'm gonna go audition and everything. I was like, okay. And then I waited a couple hours. I looked outside again. Here you come, walking back down the street. And I was like, how did it go? You was like, I think it did good, and everything. I can't remember what happened with it or whatever. But I remember that, and you walked home. So when my husband and I were at your house in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
to see you walk down the street. First, when we came down the street and I saw the Hollywood sign, like you literally live in an area where you can see the Hollywood sign in the mountains, like from your street. I said, this is your street. When I came the first time, you're like, yep. You came walking to the car and I saw that Hollywood sign in the back of you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's alignment. Even though you were walking down, the street that we lived on, you were just Hollywood all the way. You were going for your dreams. And to come
Mm.
there and see you walking in the Hollywood sign, and we're
Mm.
in Hollywood. I was like,
Mm.
look at him. He's just always living out who he is and who he was created to be. Yeah, that was a moment.
Wow, thank you for telling me that. I almost had tears in my eyes because, like I said, I felt like in spite of how I felt about myself, I felt like there was a power that was like leading me and guiding me. And I'm like, who is that little man who's getting, and I remember that getting on the bus by myself, going to sing and going down to the scene and they not letting me on. They're like, who is this little skinny little, you can, okay, you can go on
Oh,
one
you talking
time.
about the dance thing?
It's the scene and all that stuff. It's just like, I was just, but I felt like, it was just a power. It was nothing but the Lord. It was nothing but the Holy Ghost. It was nothing but the Holy Spirit that was leading me and guiding me. And I sit back and, like you said, I look at my life today. And of course, as actors and artists, we always want more. We're always going to be wanting more. We always want to get high. That's what, I think about Michael B. Jordan and Denzel Washington. People can say like, he already a millionaire, multimillionaire. Why you keep on doing these movies? Because we want to step in to the shoes of another experience and go on that magical ride and come up off of it and be like, wow, you know. And so that's always going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm always going to be wanting to get on that ride, but I still have to stop and look at the goodness of God. And like you're just saying, like, wow, like you were walking to Hollywood when you were a teenager. Like that was, like you said, I was walking to Hollywood and now you're in Hollywood, walking through Hollywood. So what?
Listen, the coffee shops in your neighborhood are just, I'm talking about, we got Netflix down the street, Sony, we got Paramount around the corner, YouTube down the street, Yahoo, NFL Network, all these things. Like, what is Starbucks like in your neighborhood? It is just really, really cool. And because I remember one day we were just walking to CVS. I'm like, is that Netflix? You're like, yeah, come on, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
This is the
Mm-hmm. That's
life
my
you're
neighborhood.
experiencing. But yeah, I know that we are coming to an end, but I have to ask you this question. This is such an important question, I think. And courage. Okay, because there's so many people who want to step out into the land of performance or into the land of acting or experiencing or whatever we want to call it. But they don't have the courage. I wish I could move to Hollywood. I wish I could move to New York. I wish I could audition for Broadway. I wish. But they don't have the courage. Can you talk to us about the courage it took to leave at 19 years old from Detroit to go follow your dreams?
Again, I think certain things in life are beyond you. I think if sometimes, and that's why I feel like you have to get out of your analytical mind at times. You have to set that reason aside and just trust God and just trust what your instincts and your intuition is telling you. beyond reason. And if you can do that, I feel like you win. I feel like you win
Mm-hmm.
because it's not because I was brave, because I feel like I have been or was one of the most scariest people I know. I
Mm-hmm.
was super scary, and even, I dealt with anxiety and fear and stuff, but in spite of it all, God was like,
Mm-hmm.
God, like you going shaking and you know what I'm trying to say. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, and again, that's setting aside my analytical mind. It's like, and I just have to go with the flow, just allow it to take me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I want to offer anybody who has a dream. It's like set that analytical mind,
Mm-hmm.
set it down and just keep praying and just keep believing. And if it tells you to get up, even right now with the Substack thing, I wasn't thinking about no Substack 2 weeks ago. I was just hearing
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, Substack. Oh, open that up. Oh, they got a Wendy. Do you want to? And here we are. And I don't know who this is going to bless. It's blessing us. I know that. But it's like, again, it's just like follow. I always say, follow the yellow brick road. Just follow the yellow brick road and see where it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yes.
one thing I know is going to take you to a place that is mm, way more delicious than you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Living the dream God has for you, opposed to just your God's dream for us is much higher than the dreams we even have for ourselves. And like you said, doing it afraid, that's real courage. When you do it anyway, shaking, that's what courage is all about.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel good. I think that's what people don't really realize too. They sometimes you think when you're being led about to follow the yellow brick road and being guided by the Holy Spirit and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't feel good. Like right now, I feel like I always feel vulnerable. I always don't know, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And what's going? It don't feel good. It's, you know what I'm trying to say. Alignment sometimes don't feel like alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Yeah.
you know that you're listening and you're following, it's like that's what you have to like lay your hat on. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to
Your
know, but no,
spirit.
my spirit told me to do this. It don't feel good. I'm tired, but it told me to do it. Didn't it tell me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I think people
Yeah.
want to feel good. Don't you think people want to feel good? It's like, oh, it didn't feel good, so I
Mm-hmm.
stopped doing it. Okay, well, but did God tell you to stop? But did your spirit tell you? No, I just stopped doing
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay, well, don't go
Yeah.
looking for good feelings all the time.
Yeah. Good feelings for your flesh. Good, like I need to be happy or you emotional. You have these different, you know, it's just a difference when you're led by the spirit than when you're led by the flesh. And sometimes we could think if I'm led by the spirit, it's going to be just bliss and just beautiful. No, the flesh will war after the spirit because the spirit will tell you, go, this person is buying groceries in front of you. Go bless that person and buy their groceries. Your flesh is like, wait a minute, 10, 20, 30, 40. I got to buy my own growth. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or your flesh, your spirit is like, all right, it's time to take a class. It's time to go back to school. It's time to do acting. It's time to do whatever. And your flesh is like, well, I don't have time to do it. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do it. I'm scared. Your flesh is always the flesh is always protecting itself. Okay. And that's fine. At some point, we got to stay protected and navigate this world. Our spirits are inside of our flesh. So there's a purpose. But it can't lead. When you have the Holy Spirit and the truth, then when you're led by truth, sometimes it'll look very opposite of what the flesh wants to do or what it feels like. But that alignment with God, for me, has never, ever led me wrong. So I agree.
And that's what I mean when I talk instincts. Instinct is another form of saying follow God, follow the Holy Spirit, follow your intuition, all of that. It's that. It's like when you're reading a script, if it tells you to do that, go there. Just follow it. Just keep following it. And it makes like, no, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say they say I'm supposed to cry right there. I don't want you to cry. I want you to scream. Scream. You know what I'm saying? Getting to the point where you just sell out to the Holy Spirit, to your instincts, to your truth, and then just see what happens. Just see what happens. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
just see what happens.
That's beautiful. That's
Just see
living
what
life,
happens.
right?
Yes, and we have saw what happened when we sold out to our instincts on today. We came together. We didn't know what this was going to be. Spirit told me to call you. You said yes. We got on here, and it was like I said, it was a blessing to me. And I pray and I hope. I know it's going to be a blessing to somebody if they stay around for the whole hour. I don't know. Even if they stay around for the first 15 minutes, it's going to be a blessing because we are in
Mm-hmm.
alignment. We are in instinct.
That's right.
So yes. So I want to thank you for listening. For those of you who are listening, I want to thank my wonderful, 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 wonderful friend, Dr. Wendy Perkinson, for always,
Thank you.
always following her instincts and hearing the call. Um, Thank you. Follow me. Please, if you're interested, come to my on camera acting instinct lab with Dwayne Barnes. Follow me on Substack, um, and just keep following your instincts. Dr. Wendy, do you want to tell them anything that's going on with you? Any offerings that you have going on?
Well, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation. These conversations are always so fulfilling. And I too agree to follow your instinct, follow the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God that lives on the inside of you, and live a life that is fulfilling. It's really going to fill you. Um, and so, yeah, I've had the opportunity to be in Dwayne's instinct lab, and I might be there once or two more times. I might visit if he has me to
Please.
experience it with everybody. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All right. Bye bye.
Bye.